The following YouTube presentation is a presentation by Steve Fu, graduate PDY, Bunaboo Base Hospital, on the intervertebral discs. This is an axial view of the intervertebral disc that connects each vertebral body of the spine. It prevents bone and bone contact and provides the movement and shock absorption necessary for the whole spine to handle daily workloads. There are 23 discs in the human spine, 6 cervical, 12 in the thoracic and 5 in the lumbar region. Structurally, each disc is the same. On the outer circumference is the annulus fibrosus. It consists of a laminae and a fibrocartilage. The outer circles consist of type 2 fibres, which is the only portion that has nerve endings. It is stronger than the pulposus, a soft gel-like structure containing various inflammatory proteins and water responsible to evenly distribute the compression forces on the vertebral bodies. The water content in the nucleus decreases with age. The most common injury to the intervertebral disc is herniation, also known as medically inaccurate slip disc. Despite the name, the actual injury is caused by the breakdown of the annulus, resulting in the nucleus pulposus extending beyond the torn annulus boundaries and compressing on the spinal cord or surrounding nerves. This is usually the severe and chronic development from the mild disc protrusion, which occurs when the annulus is still intact, but the nucleus has stretched the weakened walls of the annulus beyond normal. In the case of disc protrusion, where the annulus is still intact, the pain that results is termed axial pain. The nucleus bulges the borders of the annulus outwards and irritates the surrounding nerve roots. This type of pain is localized to the area and commonly referred to as a degenerative disc disease. If it develops into disc herniation, the symptoms of pain are typically worse and widespread. The inflammatory proteins of the nucleus leaks out and aggravates the many nerve roots that run around the vertebral bodies of the spine. Typically in herniations involving compression of nerve roots in the area, the pain is termed radiculopathy. If inflammation is present, it is called radiculitis. Strangely, it is quite common that when a disc herniation occurs, all localized pain at the damaged disc is alleviated, replaced by the widespread pain of the impinged nerve. In cervical disc herniation, pain, weakness, numbness and tingling is typically felt in one or both limbs. For thoracic herniation, the symptoms appear to radiate throughout the chest. Lumbar disc herniations, however, are the most common, with the pain experienced throughout the lower limbs. Sciatica is named after the sciatic nerve. This is formed by the 5 nerve roots L4, 5, S1, 2 and 3. So why is it so common? For starters, basic engineering principles state that a structure that is strong cannot be flexible, and vice versa, with many variations in that spectrum. However, the spine is a stack of strong vertebral bodies glued together by more flexible intervertebral discs, meaning that while it is strong enough to bear some load in neutral, unfortunately, it has several weak spots where movement and therefore damage is possible. To make up for the structure weakness, the spine relies on a group of muscles known as the core to stabilize and stiffen the spine on demand. Specifically, it is the flexion of the spine that causes damage to the annulus. Research shows that when the spine is flexed in any direction, the intervertebral disc's internal pressure increases dramatically up to 300% and is at its weakest in terms of load tolerance. Due to the requirements of today's lifestyle, a posterior herniation is most common in the lumbar spine, as it is exposed to most forces. However, it is important to realise that a herniation can occur in any direction. Consequently, the manual handling at most workplaces advise against bending the lower back during activity, preferably maintaining a neutral spine. Unfortunately, research has shown that the collagen fibres of each annulus fibrosus can tolerate only a finite supply of movement per disc, and each flexion movement will slowly delaminate these fibres, thus beginning the first step of degeneration, a disc protrusion. To make matters worse, the intervertebral disc itself lacks vascularity and innervation, so healing usually cannot occur naturally. So as you can see, our backs are pretty important, and we'll only get one chance with it, and I'll end up with these 2 interesting findings that will hopefully preserve them a bit longer. During sleep, the nucleus pulposus becomes fully hydrated and remains that way for a few hours after waking. Combined with flexion forces, the internal pressures of the nucleus will cause maximal stress to the annulus, speeding up the delamination process. So as much as I'm sure everyone enjoys doing so, avoid rigorous exercise in the morning. Traumatic disc herniations have caused cases of scoliosis in later years. In order to correct the uneven forces in the disc, the muscles align the vertebral body to protect the discs from further damage.